What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Cap? My name's Footer. I'm down in Florida right now, but I'm a New York dude.
Okay, no sweat. You got a question or comment?
Yeah, I got two quick questions for you, man. My whole thing. Let's start as far as on the one end. As far as being saved, right? So I'm a Christian, right? And the way I understand, when I've seen you debate and I've seen you talk, and I got a lot of respect for you, Cap, for real. Mm-hmm. And I almost feel if I went by your ideology that, I'm not going to be saved. I'm going to be walking around my entire life.
What's your ethnicity?
And never. I'm a Christian. I'm Italian. I'm Italian.
Okay, I'm glad you did that first. You're the first white man I've ever spoke to when I asked what's your ethnicity, and the first thing you said was Christian. But you say you're an Italian white man.
White man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I'm assuming your father's Italian.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. In Jeremiah, I think Jeremiah 16 and 19, it says, your father's inherited lot.
All right, Shalom.
Every day, Child Protective Services and the Department of Children and Family Services
Alright, Shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you with another lesson. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Okak Radash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. Alright, in today's lesson, we're gonna go over, these the importance of righteous judgment. Discerning of spirits, and this is something that we talk about a lot, often. But now the Lord has gave us another prime example by this dude again, Captain Tazariak again. Here he comes up again. This was the same dude that said that, he thinks that John the Baptist felt the truth is just his opinion. Remember? All right. So the Lord is putting the light on these guys, putting the spotlight, because remember right there, that right there just he just pretty much told himself, because he didn't say, well, according to the scriptures, according to Isaiah or Ezekiel. He just said right away, oh, that's my opinion. It's like, yeah, no shit, so, but that's just the Lord. The Lord is just the Lord is getting these false prophets, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it, because they're lifted up of pride. But this is what pride does. See, because these dudes think that they got it and they're all this and that, and the Lord's just cutting them. Because those of you that are really into studying the truth and learning for what it really is, you can see right through the BS. And come on, the Lord's a God of war. So you think that these phonies out here, these sellouts, are just gonna teach His word and the Lord's just gonna allow them to get away with it? Oh nah. Remember, these guys, if they don't repent, they're in a lot of trouble, a whole lot of trouble, because they're misguiding the Lord's children. All right. So right here, this is on discerning of spirits. All right, so let's start off in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 24. Salute all them that have the rule over you, and all the saints. They of Italy salute you. All right, so this is you know, the writings of Timothy to the Israelites and uh, in Italy. See, so right there, what we just showed you that clip, what Captain Tazariak, he pretty much pushed that that Italian guy who wanted to be accepted. See, so this is something that you clearly don't do. All right, this is something that you just do not do. So this is why the Lord's giving us prime examples. Once again, this is why we get on Nate from IUIC, Genesis, Sakari, all of them, because they're prime examples. Because not only can we speak about it, but we can show you, because these guys are literally doing it right now, and all we gotta do is just point it out and say, look, this is what you don't do. So the Lord is giving us examples, of things to do from your prophets from GMS and those around the world who are diligent. Remember, because not most of the prophets are in GMS, yeah, but there are some that are individuals that are out there, but that are teaching the true doctrine of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, who are sincere. But so these are prime examples for those of you that care about learning. You can really see. All right, so Captain Tazariak, so what he did was, as I showed you in this clip, in the clip in the beginning of this video, that Italian, he called and he wanted to be accepted, which meaning he believed. Okay, which meaning he believed. See, he's going with Captain Tazariak. He don't really know that, that dude, he's no good. But, he's just trying to reach out to an Israelite group because he's waking up the fact that, he's reaching out to the Lord, because he believes. All right, and one thing, okay, so this is what we're telling you right here. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 24. Because remember, he goes, hey, my dad is from Italy. And he goes, oh, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. What do you mean? That don't mean that he's an Edomite. Because he goes, oh, and then the other thing that he addressed him about, nothing that he said was edifying. Okay, because right away he told the guy, all right, dude. Well, I'm glad you told me that from the jump. Yeah, you're the first white dude I spoke to. Okay, they're called Edomites. All right, there's no such thing. You can say a so-called white man. All right, but there's nowhere in the Bible, okay, in the New Testament and the Old Testament, where it refers to a so-called Caucasian as, oh yeah, he's a white man. It's not in there. All right, show us. Never, because the in the New Testament and Old Testament, it always goes to the Edomites. Okay, this is how we know the scriptures are talking about the self-proclaimed white man, but never in the scriptures do all the prophets is going to say, oh yeah, that's a white man right there. No. Okay, it's going to refer to them as the Edomites. Plain and simple. All right. Salute all them that have rule over you. All the saints, they of Italy salute you. Right, okay, because we got to remember, our people were ruling in Europe. Okay, the Moors took over right there, Sicily. Okay, those are our people. Okay, the Moors. All right, they remember when the ancient Roman Empire fell. Okay, the ancient Roman Empire fell 300 AD to about 400 AD. We pushed them into the Caucasus Mountains, which is located in Georgia, Russia, for a year span of about 900 to 1,000 years. And then they came back out of those caves, the same Edomites, not no new breed, not no new nation, the same breed that were in the caves eating marshmallows, because that's what they ate. Those of you that know your history, okay, they were surviving off their, because they're like marshmallows, it's like a plant. Okay, yeah, they're eating that in those caves. That's how they were surviving. Yeah, imagine. All right, and that's real. And they came back out, the same Edomites. All right, so a lot of people say, oh, the Edomites were done away with. No, they weren't. We just put them in the caves for about 1,000 years, and then they came back out. Okay, that's why in Revelation it says whose deadly wound was healed, because this is Roman Empire 2.0. Same political system, all right, same old thing. All right, same people, doing the same thing all over again. Look at all the architecture structure. Okay, you can see all the look at all the buildings in Greece and Rome, okay, and Mount Petra, Mount Seir, and look at Washington D.C. You telling me there's a difference? They do the same thing. The Edomites, the pillars with a triangle on top. They've been doing the same thing over and over again. Remember, the Edomites are not that intelligent. All right, remember, they're cave dwellers. They're Edomites. Okay, it's just that the Lord gave them the boost. He gave them their AI so they can rule for a little bit. All right, just for a moment to show the world what wickedness is. But you got to remember, the Edomites, they're not that intelligent. All right, remember, they look to demons for help. They look to witches and warlocks for advice. They don't go to the Most High, you know? Yeah, you see? So right there, this is the importance of discerning the spirits, because what he did wrong was he put that dude, he said, oh no, I don't know what to tell you. Like, so pretty much putting that gentleman who was Italian, he categorized him as being an Edomite. Hey man, remember, it's not, it doesn't matter, remember out there, it doesn't matter how you look, it's just spirit. Because we've been in captivity, scattered amongst the Gentiles, the natural Gentiles, all right, the heathens, for thousands of years. So remember, so when there's somebody that comes in to this thing like that, just like that, okay, yeah, if they believe, then they believe. It don't matter how they look. Okay, it don't matter how they look. All right, so that just shows you that this clown, Captain Tazariak, that he's not a true prophet. He's not a true teacher, and the Lord's gonna deal with him. See that, because that could be one of the Lord's hopeful elect, and he just put him to the side just because he said he was Italian. This dude doesn't even know his history. There is Israelites in Italy. There's Israelites in Sicily right now. See, it just shows you that they're not well learned. See, but hey, but that's that pride lifted up. They just think, oh yeah, that they're good. Look at this. That dude, Captain Tazariak, is a complete clown. But you're gonna see the Lord, how he is going to show you that how these dudes they're not sincere, they're not speaking the truth. The horse said it out of his own mouth. He said, hey, John the Baptist, by me saying that, Captain Tazariak, he goes, hey, that's just my opinion. It's like, yeah, no shit. Pop goes the weasel. Exactly, because what you're teaching is just your opinion. So you just gave yourself away. Because you're not teaching what's scriptural. You're not teaching what the Lord is saying. You're teaching what you feel is right. See? So that's why that's why these Israelite groups are misguiding the sheep, because you guys are teaching what you feel is right. You guys are teaching your opinions. Remember, you didn't create yourself. You didn't write this book. See? So you see how retarded you are? But to all you sellouts out there, hey, enjoy that bag, enjoy that check, because the Lord is gonna start judging you clowns very bad. But yeah, so the Lord, hey, the Lord is shining the light on you clowns. So don't think that you're gonna pick up the Lord's book and just, remember, the Lord's not mocked. You may think that you're doing something, but hey, you're only condemning yourself. You see? Right here, Acts chapter 23, verse 11. And the night, here we go. Acts chapter 23, verse 11. And the night following, the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, stood by him and said, the Lord Yahushai stood by him and said, be of good cheer, Paul. All right, for as thou hast testified of me in Jerusalem, okay, here we go, so must thou bear witness also at Rome, because there's Israelites at Rome. Okay, the Lord never went to go teach the Gentiles. Okay, he went to go teach the Israelite foreigners. Okay, so just like right here in America, an example. Okay, because you have Israelites here that live in America. You know, um, like you could just say like myself for an example. All right. See, because I was born and raised in America, I'm an American citizen, but I'm a Hebrew Israelite. That's my nationality. Okay, you see. All right, and no one can change that. There's 18 nations in the Bible. That's why, like the self-proclaimed white man, he is the Edomite. No matter how much he don't want to be it, he's an Edomite. Okay, and they're going to slavery. You see, you know, yeah. So that shows right there, because Rome, Italy. You see, so right there, that dude, Captain Tazariak, just pushed that dude to the side, and he was actually like interested, because he believed, no Edomite is gonna try to be part of it or something, if they don't believe. So he believed, and he pushed them to the side and said, I don't know what to tell you. See that? So can you imagine? Can you imagine how much more that happened that is not recorded? So there's a lot of blood on these false teachers. Because imagine like that. This is just one or two cases that we're finding about because they've been live on YouTube. How much more that happened, like street teachings or whatever that just happened that we don't even know about, but the Lord and the angels do. See? So can you imagine how much damage these false Israelite groups are doing? You know? See? Because they're misguiding the sheep. There's a lot of blood on their hands. So they're going to perish very, very painfully. You know? Yeah. Very, very painfully. You see? So, can you imagine the buildup? You know? Okay, so right here, Acts chapter 28, verse 14. All right, where we found brethren, okay, right here, brethren, and were desired to tarry with them 7 days. And so we went towards Rome. See that? Because Paul was teaching right there in Rome. See? Show you that there's Israelites in Rome, because nowhere in the New Testament, nowhere in the Old Testament does it ever have the the heathens, Moab, Japheth, Ham, the Edomites, the Ishmaelites, the Elamites, no, the Moabites, the Ammonites. Nowhere does it have any of them worshiping Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and nowhere does it ever show in none of the scriptures from Moses, from all the prophets, Moses to Ezekiel to Habakkuk, Jeremiah, Esdras. Never does it say throughout the New Testament and Old Testament that the prophets went to go teach the heathen. Never. Also, in history, never did the heathen ever worship the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Never. Okay, the heathens always worship idols, pagan gods, the sun, statues. It's what they do. Okay, because they're heathens. See? That's what makes the children of Israel separate from the heathens. You see? Because the Lord, the God of the Israelites, He's our power, and He's just for the Israelites. See that? And now the world is starting to find that out. See, because it was all good before the true prophets were on the scene. It was all good, right? Because, the real prophets weren't on the scene. We're on the scene, and you guys, the world had no problem when these small hats that run Hollywood, all right, and that live in Israel right now, the world didn't have a problem when, those were, supposed to be the people. But now that the world's finding out that it's us, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, now the world has a problem. Why? Because you know that it's not for you, the so-called white man, and the heathens. Because these Christian and Catholic churches teach us, God loves everybody, come as you are. That's a complete lie. You know? You see? It's a complete lie. But now you guys know what it is. Because why? The true prophets are on the scene telling you guys exactly what it is. See, and the prophets don't sell out. The prophets are going to tell you what it is all the way to the last breath. You know, because they don't fear man, they fear the Lord. The prophets are going to keep it the same no matter what. You know? Facts. You know? And so now the world is figuring out like, damn, well, shit, the kingdom's not for us. No, it's not. And now the world, now you guys have a problem because now you know that you're nothing, that you're not shit. Excuse my Italian. See? Now you're figuring out because this whole time, the so-called white man and the heathens, the Edomites and heathens, you guys thought that you're superior to us when it's the opposite. When it's the opposite, we're superior to you. It's just that we're in captivity, but our captivity is almost up. And now you guys are learning that. See, because now you guys learn what the Lord's name is, and now you guys know what this Bible is actually talking about. And now it's a problem. Why? Because the prophets are breaking it down to you and teaching people the right way. You know, not all this opinions and let's just sing and dance and eat some pork chops. You know, and oh, you'll be all right. Just say 7 Hail Marys. You're good. You'll be fine. You know, let's go to church on Sunday and put on tres flores and we're fine. You know, you're fine. You're not fine. Okay, you know, and those of you that are not following the Lord the correct way are going to be in a world of hurt. You see? But who told you that it's okay to eat pork? It's all right. You're all right. The so-called white man. Who's the one that told you guys to be a homo and a lesbian? That's okay. So-called white man. So Esau, you got a lot to pay for, man. Because Israelites, yeah, they're very gullible, you know. But at the same time, you're the one teaching them all these things. Esau, the so-called white man. Yeah, yeah. Yep, you're in trouble, my man. You see? You know, who has corrupted the minds of the children of Israel, you know? See? So that's just to show you that you know the where are we at here? Bear with me. Oh, you know, let me see, should I get that? You know, I'm gonna go to Jeremiah 2:11. Let me get the NLT. Let's see here. Cool. There we go. Jeremiah 2 verse 11 and the NLT. All right, this is just to show you that remember the heathens, they're just men, they're not gods at all. All right, check this out. Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 11. Okay, has any nation, oh, right here, has any nation ever traded its gods for new ones? Okay, even though they are not gods at all. Okay, yet my people have exchanged their glorious God for worthless idols. See, worthless idols, statues. See, all right. So the heathens, right here, has any nation ever traded its gods for new ones? All right. Even though they are not gods at all, because you know, they're not gods at all. So you know, our enemies, the heathens, they're not gods at all. All right, the Lord's telling us right here through Jeremiah. See, so they're not gods at all. Okay, they worship idols, worthless idols, just statues. You know, owls and stuff, pagan gods. Yeah, they worship demons. Facts, you know. You see, and remember, the Lord created those demons. You know, so hey, remember, remember what the Lord said. You know, the wisdom of this world is foolishness to the Most High. So the smartest person on earth, you know, the Lord's, you know, that's the Lord saying that's a fool, right? There's nothing, you know. And this is what the world's about to find out, that there's a true God out there that creates and controls everything beyond this world's comprehension, you know? So right there, so that's yeah, so that is one of the that's one of the points right there that I wanted to bring out, because that yeah, that Captain Tazariak, because that's something you just don't do, just because, remember, just because someone looks like a so-called Asian, a so-called East Indian, a so-called Arab, a so-called white man, doesn't mean that they're the heathen, because if they believe, then they're an Israelite. You can't push someone to the side just because, just the way they look. You see? So that's very, very important right there. But that just shows that he's not a true teacher, because he can't discern the spirit, and that's something you clearly don't do, and also right away, and that shows that he's not well learned at all, because there's Israelites in Italy right now, and Sicily, Oh yeah, our people were ruling in Europe all the way to we're ruling in Europe all the way through the 1600s, 1700s, and then we were ruling in Russia all the way to the 1800s. Just look up something called Russia icons, and you can still find some relics of the saints, the prophets, how they're so-called black men, what, like, medium-sized afros. Yeah, you know. But the reason why people think that the Lord is a so-called white man and the angels are so-called white and the prophets are so-called white is because they lie to the whole world. But that's okay. This is why they're going to slavery. This is why they're about to be exterminated. You imagine? Because they took the truth and lied to the whole world, and they're still running with it. Imagine? This is who rules over us. Somebody who just lies and says, oh, no. So the leaders of this world right now, they're actors. They're just liars. They're not real men and women. They just lie. So imagine how bad their beatdown is going to be. Because they're about to go up against real gods, real angels. Imagine, these dudes are telling lies, drinking coffee and wearing Skechers. Imagine that, and eating curly fries. You imagine how bad their beatdown is going to be? It's beyond, because yeah, they're liars. Okay, yeah, they lie, whatever. But they're not real. They're not who they say they are. So can you imagine when shit hits the fan? Excuse my Italian, Imagine, Remember, war brings reality. People can lie all they want, but remember, they are not gods, And remember, the heathen and Edomites, they're weak. They're weak, They can't even handle words, Man. Yeah, hey, you're talking about one of the what we're about to witness out here, how our enemies get put down by the Lord and the angels, and the 144 is going to be one of the most terrible deaths, one of the most terrible recorded things in history. It's going to be beyond frightening. Because remember, these are the people who are ruling over us. They literally are just lying and saying, oh yeah, they just lie and say, oh yeah, we went to the moon. They didn't go to the moon. The hell? The moon is a light. It's a luminaire. These dudes are tripping. Remember how America lied and they said, oh yeah, they went to the moon and they put the American flag there supposedly and it was waving. There's no, how the hell was that American flag waving? There's no air up there. That's why you have to have a space apparatus, an astronaut suit, a space suit, okay? Because there's no air up there. So how the hell was that, flag, waving in the wind? Like it was windy up there. There's no air up there. Hey, these dudes are beyond. You tell me these dudes are not retarded? And they're still sticking with it. Like, oh yeah, we went up there. you know? And these dudes just lie about everything. So you imagine how bad they're about to get their ass kicked. And you're telling, you know, and hey, and you know, and this is why we can't stop laughing. Cause you know, they're real idiots. Like for reals, you know? You know, they are retarded. Like on the real. You know, this ain't like emotional and all getting, oh, hey, they're getting mad now. No, this is for real. You know, because they're the ones who are lying. We're just pointing it out. You know, you see, because the Lord's stepping in now. So now it's like, hey, all right, well, shit. You know, 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. So that's something he's not doing. He's not examining himself. All right, because a real prophet, like let's say he made that mistake, and no one should ever make that blasphemous statement that John the Baptist, you know, fouled the truth. So, you know, a real prophet is going to examine himself. He's going to go back and study, and, you know, he's going to take rebuke and be like, you know what? Hey, you know what? Salakia, you're right. You know, let's just say for anything example, like he taught something wrong. Okay. A true prophet is going to examine himself, and he's going to go back and say, all right, let me see if I was wrong, because you're going to care about what you're teaching the children of Israel is correct. So that right there also shows that he has no fear of the Lord. He's all about himself. He don't give a damn. You imagine that? You know, he has no fear of the Lord. You know, when you teach something wrong and you're wrong about it, you know, right away, you know, a real prophet is going to say, hey, Salakia, hey, you know, he's going to examine himself, you know, do a video on it right away, you know, to, because, you know, sometimes, you know, the prophets that are coming up, you know, they make little error, but they correct themselves, but at least they're humble about it, you know. They give ear, they take rebuke, and they learn from it, you know? Not like this dude just laughing about it and just, you know, all proud about it. See, because that just shows that he does not fear the Lord. You know, forget what man says. You know, the Lord is watching you, Captain Tazariak. You know? You see? Huh? Hey. So that's the thing. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. So he's not. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves that Yahushua is in you, except ye be reprobates. So he has the spirit of a reprobate, because he doesn't even care about. First of all, the Lord's looking at him, you know, so he needs to be like, all right, well, hey, if I'm going off, let me check, you know, let me double check myself, you know, take what the because there's all kinds of videos of you know, of the prophets saying that he's going off. You know, it's not just one or two people. You know, all the prophets and apostles and elders are getting on him. You know, saying that, hey, man, you're going off. You know, see that, and he's not even like, all right, hey, you know what, Salaki, you know what, let me check that out, and you know, let me go back on that. No, not even trying to be humble or sincere about it. Just, oh yeah, whatever. You know, see. You know, because a true prophet would be like, oh, you know what? Hey, you guys are right. Hey, the water, Salakia. Hey, you know, put a video right back. You know, be like, hey, you know what? I was wrong about it. You know, and you know, but no, they're just, you know, all proud and puffed up. But that just shows because they're not in the spirit of the Lord. They're reprobate. Yep. And a lot of these dudes, they're actually they sold out. Yeah. A lot of these dudes sold out to the so-called white man. Imagine. And we already told you how retarded these Edomites are, and these guys sold out to them. Man, check this out. Daniel chapter 9, verse 7. Here we go. Yep. Daniel chapter 9, verse 7. O Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. All right, here we go. So this is the one I wanted. This is the point right here that we're gonna drive it all the way home, baby. We're gonna drive it to home plate. Here we go. All right. O Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. So who's that? The confusion of faces is the Israelite foreigners, those that, you know, like that Italian gentleman who called Captain Tazariak. Okay, he's a confusion of faces because he believed. and he, pushed them to the side because he wanted to get down with that thing. He believed in these Israelite teachings. See, he wanted to come into the fold, but Captain Tazariak pushed him aside just because he was an Italian. Okay, which is off. Because, and even if somebody looked like a straight up so-called white man, let's say if somebody came up to the camp looking like straight up, like what's let's see, like like Brad Pitt, whatever, so-called white man, but they believed in the Lord, then they're Israelite. Remember that, like let's say you got an Edomite that comes up to you looking like Taylor Swift, just for an example, okay? All right, but she believes. All right, remember that don't mean that she's an Edomite, because there's confusion in the faces. What this is because you have Israelites out there that look like straight up so-called Caucasians, straight up so-called Asians, straight up so-called East Indians. But why do they believe? Because it's the spirit. Remember, this is not a black thing. Okay, so that's what this world pushes upon us. Oh yeah, you black Hebrew Israelites. First of all, hey, I'm not black. Hey, Yahushai is not black. Okay, he's he's dark brown. Okay, the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, they're different shades of brown. Okay, they're not black. Their hair might be black, but when you take a second look at their skin, we're dark brown. See, and there's no such thing in the Bible as black people. Okay, we're Israelites. And then the people close to us are that look like that could look kind of somewhat. I mean, not it's just something to kind of get your brains going. Is the Hamites? Of course there's a difference, but they're dark like us too. But they're Hamites. But there's never the Bible. There's nowhere anywhere in the Bible that says, oh yeah, they're black people. Nah, or oh yeah, that's a white man over there. Is your dad white? No. Okay, just to show you that all this, has been made up by the so-called white man. This is why he's going to slavery, and this is why he's going to be exterminated. He lied to the whole world, and he's still doing it. Imagine? You're telling me this dude is not retarded? Yeah, but hey, he did it, so he has a lot to pay for. You can't tell me that these Edomites are not Cain. Okay, you can't tell me that the so-called white man is not Cain, because he's doing all this killing, all this stealing, all this lying around the world, destroying the whole planet, and now he's hearing his judgment. Now he's like, oh no, this is too much for me. Help me. Hey, feel sorry for me, just like Cain. He killed his brother and he lied to his father. And then he's like, oh, I can't handle it. Then when he got in trouble, he's like, oh, this is too much for me to bear. You're telling me this Edomite's not Cain? Yeah, it's Cain. Oh yeah, these Edomites go back to Cain all the way, baby. Because look what they're doing. They're lying, they're stealing, they're killing babies, all that. And now that their judgment's okay, well, you did all this, so now it's time for your judgment. Now they're like, oh no, let's go hide underground and look at this nigga. You tell me this is not Cain? This is Cain. Hey, the Edomites, remember Esau, he's Cain back in the reincarnation. You telling me these Edomites are not Cain? Oh, all the way. Do they take anything, and all they do is just kill, all this child trafficking, all this organ harvesting? Who's the top of it? Okay, the so-called white man. But now that his judgment's coming forth, now he can't handle it. But it's okay, right? When he's over there just killing people, and stealing and lying to the world. But now when it's time for him to be punished, he can't handle it. See? We're the prophets are ordained as hate speech, radical extremists. Why? Because we're telling you your judgment. You're the one out here killing people, and we're just telling you the judgment from the Lord. And what? You can't handle it? You're the one who's doing it. You dumb. You see? It don't matter how you slice it. Remember, you're the one who made up this messed up system. Esau, the Edomites, you're the one who's throwing trash in space. You know, look at all these freeways and all that, how they're all packed with traffic and all that. Remember, this is your system, okay? Everybody here, you know, remember, they're part of your corporation, but this is your system. So the reason why it's all jacked up is because you're ruling. This is your system, all right? You know, no one told you, hey, come up, hey, put the light signals like this, do this. No, this is your system. This is your kingdom, Esau. Remember, so it's messed up because you're ruling. Remember, you're the manager. You're the one in charge. So this is why you're in trouble, my man. You know? Yeah, yes you. Yeah, I know you like to point fingers. I know. I know. You know, don't even start. I already know. You know? But remember, this is your kingdom. Remember, because you're in charge, remember? You're the boss. Right? So this is why you're gonna get your ass kicked. You're going to slavery because this is your system. Remember? You see? You know? Daniel chapter 9, verse 7. O Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. So what I just explained, the Israelites around the world that look like the heathen, as at this day to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so the southern and northern kingdom, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off. Here we go. Through all the countries, whither thou hast driven them, because their trespass that they have trespassed against thee. Because through all the countries, meaning what? The Israelites are scattered among all the heathen, all the natural Gentiles. See? Because you're going to have Israelites, just like that gentleman who said that he was an Italian, but that don't you can't categorize him as an Edomite right away. It's a spirit because he believed. You know, we're not 100% that he's part of the elect, but he believed. You see, you know, so you know you can't just put someone as a heathen or Edomite just because their looks. He said he's an Italian. Okay, you know, you can't put him to the side. There's Israelites in Italy and in Rome and Sicily. You see? So that's why, you know, when you judge, you got to judge righteous judgment. You know, you got to have you got to discern the spirit. You know, this is why you got to be spiritual. You see? But that shows that Captain Tazariak, he has that reprobate spirit on him, you know? That, oh yeah, see? And a lot of you false Israelite groups are doing that. And that's something that I addressed a while back. That you guys are messing around, you know, because you guys are not patient. And you guys are just looking, when you guys are out there, you guys are just looking like, oh yeah, look at these devils, look at this heathen. How do you know? Okay, that, you know, just because you see a so-called Chinese, you know, walking down, like a so-called Chinese family walking down the sidewalk, hey, that don't mean that they're Moabites. What if they're Israelites? What if that's a family that believes? See? So you have to make sure that you judge righteous judgment. You know? You didn't even ask them. Did you ask them that they believe in the Lord? What if they believe? And you're out here just like, oh yeah, look at this heathen. Oh yeah, that Edomite's going to slavery. How do you know? What if that so-called white family believes in the Lord? And you're just labeling them right away just because of their looks. Remember? So that's why when you're out there, you gotta, you know, it's very, very important, you know. I'll read it one more time and then yeah, that's all. That's the point. So right here, Daniel chapter 9, verse 7. Yeah, this one's, hey, there's a lot of meat here. O Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. So that's the Israelites that are scattered among all the other nations and countries, but they look like heathens, but they're actually Israelites. See, because we've been in slavery for over 2,000 years. Imagine, we've been in slavery for thousands of years. Yeah. Okay, as at this day to the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to all Israel, so the southern and the northern kingdom, all right, that are near, okay, and that are far off through all the countries, whether thou hast driven them. So the Lord scattered us because remember, we, okay, stop obeying the law, statutes, and commandments. Remember that. Okay, so that's another reason why you can't be all proud and puffed up. Captain Tazariak, IUIC, you Power Ranger, all right, you phony baloney, all right, you know, Hey man, it's a damn shame. Especially you, Nate from IOIC. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame, man. What the hell is going on? And I saw that. Now what? Now supposedly you have an army now? What, shields and stuff? Cut it out. Are you kidding me? Man, you know? It's a damn shame. Remember, we're over here in exile for punishment, and you're over here walking around like you're the Messiah, I mean, who are you? Shoot, riding in on a horse. Yahushua rode in on a donkey. You're over here riding in on a horse, but you had to have Edomites control that horse because you can't control it. You're out here acting like a straight buffoon, Nate, from IOIC. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame, bro. Man. Yeah, and you're not a bro. You're a reprobate, man. I mean, what are you doing? Remember, we're over here in exile to serve a punishment, so that's another reason. So we're over here to serve our captivity because we messed up, But now you guys are grabbing the Bible and just talking, about all this and walking around like you're Power Rangers and all that. Man, you guys are clowns. Remember, the Lord's gonna exalt His elect, but in due time. Look at these clowns. It's unbelievable, but hey, it's prophecy. Just write. Just those of you that are learning, take notes and watch and observe. What's going on. Because you're just supposed to be appreciative and thankful at this moment. That the Lord hasn't taken you out. And those of you that are in the truth, remember, it doesn't matter, even if you just know a little bit, hold on to that, because look at these reprobates, like Captain Tazariak, IUIC. These dudes are totally going off, and they're proud about it. See, because that pride has deceived them. So remember, it doesn't matter if you don't know as much as the elders and all that. Remember, hey, even if you just know a little bit, hold on to that crown. Because that's very precious. Because look at these other clowns, these examples, see, that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven them. The Lord has scattered all the Israelites. See, because we messed up. So the heathens and Edomites are not better and stronger than us. The Lord handed us over to them for a temporary time to punishment, because we stopped obeying Him. So the Lord did that to us to say, all right, you don't want to listen to me? Fine. I'm going to give you with the heathen and let me know how they treat you. Now look at Jake through. Look at how the heathen are treating Jake. Yeah, because they're not our power. See? So this time, are you going to listen to the Lord? Or are you going to force Aaron to build you a golden calf? Let's hear it. Are you guys going to talk shit about the Lord? And say, hey, can the Lord furnish a table in the wilderness? Are you guys going to listen this time? Or are you guys still going to talk shit? See, the Lord's saying, okay, well, hey, you don't want to serve me? Okay, I created you, and you guys just want to talk shit? That's why the Lord said, fine, I'm going to give you to the heathen and let me know how they treat you. Now look at Jake. Through getting thrown off airplanes. Look at ICE agents. See? But yet you trust the so-called white man. The so-called white man's your daddy. You still hate the Lord to this day, a lot of you. See? And He's over here throwing your ass off airplanes, ICE agents dragging your ass off dragging you teachers out of the school classrooms. See? But that's what you get, because you guys hate the Lord. A lot of you guys, inwardly, you hate so-called black people. But that's all right. Now look at you, getting thrown off airplanes, ICE agents dragging you guys out. See? So that's why the Lord's saying, hey, you still going to talk shit? The Lord's like, fine, you don't want to serve me? Go with the heathen. And now look at how the heathen are treating you. And still you're kissing their ass. They're over here Trump's throwing you guys off airplanes. And still you're like, oh no, the so-called white man's my daddy. Huh? He's over there throwing your ass off airplanes. Huh? And you're like, oh no, he's cool. He's cool. See? So the Lord's like, fine, you don't want to listen to me? I'm going to give you to the heathens. Look at how the heathens are treating our people around the world. See? So it's education. So this time, are you guys going to listen, or are you still going to talk shit? See? This is why the Lord's not coming to pick everybody up this time. He's only coming for the elect, because you 2/3, you guys are talking shit. You guys don't believe, and that's fine. But the Lord's gonna judge you accordingly, you know, because we are the Lord's children. See that? So that's why the Lord's like, fine, you don't want to believe me? That's fine. I'm gonna give you to the heathen, and let me know how they treat you. Look at Jake. How are the heathen treating Jake? You know? Exactly. Through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because their trespass, see, because we sinned against the Lord, that they have trespassed against thee, the Lord. So that's it. So that's it on today's, that's it on today's lesson on the discerning of spirits. You know, so when you judge, you got to give righteous judgment. You know, you got to be patient. You got to, you got to try the spirit. You know, you got to try the spirit, use discernment, not just right away be like, oh, this is some dumbass heathen. No, you got to make sure that that's not an Israelite. You see? So with that, stay in the spirit, on your feet, soldier. Shalom.